What keeps you going, and how do you connect with your girlfriends and people who are important to you?
I think what keeps me going is my family, knowing that my two younger kids, they're 14 and 11, they really need someone to smile, someone to keep the mood light, someone to
Yeah.
redirect their interests. And that really does keep me going. Thank goodness this is happening in a digital age, because you can connect with your friends on Zoom, FaceTime, any number of ways. And I found it so important. I mean, I went to the dentist last week, and we were all commenting on, here I was at the dentist, but it felt so good to be around people. I think it's really necessary to keep in touch with people, even if it's just texting, something that makes you feel like you're connected to people. So I've kind of been trying every which way, and I think it works.
Yeah, I agree. It really is part of what makes us unique as humans, right? Is that interaction. And now we're just figuring out new ways to do it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I don't think there's anything that can keep us from talking to one another. I think that it would come in some way, shape, or form, but we are really fortunate that we're experiencing all this history. And I mean, there's so much going on right now at a time where we can readily communicate.
So we know that it's very common for women to be in various caregiver roles, and they often put their own health lower on their to-do list. Knowing this, what would you say to your girlfriends or other women to encourage them to put taking care of their own health as a top priority?
I know this is going to sound corny, but there's a reason when you get on an airplane that the safety measures say, put your own mask on before helping others. Because if you don't put that oxygen mask on, you're going to collapse and die, and you won't be able to help others. So I feel as though in order to be the best mom I can be, the best wife I can be, the best friend, employee, whatever role I'm taking, and the best caretaker, is to take care of myself. And so that always is a priority. Now, it took me many years to realize the truth to this, but it really is absolutely true. And I know several women who don't feel like they can really complete their day without a run or a bike ride or some sort of yoga class. And that's how I feel. And so I know I'm going to be crabby if I don't get that in. So I make sure that I do. I just think it's really important. And think of how much better you feel each day once you've either, put your makeup on, gotten yourself together, gotten dressed. You're not just wearing PJs, but you're actually sort of put together. You feel almost a little bit better to face the world and more ready to take on the things that you need to take on. So I would say to people, you're going to be better at everything you do if you take care of yourself first.
So the women's heart health research is actually 35 years behind research for men. The Minneapolis Heart Institute Foundation is committing to erasing that gap with research that's underway to better understand unique heart health needs in women. We view this as our important commitment and have talked a lot about this through our social campaign using #ResearchHer. We want to lift up a cause that's close to women's hearts. What is your perspective when you hear about this gap in research and the importance of this research in women?
I think one of the things maybe that impacts women so much is we do tend to want to take on so many roles and take care of so many loose ends and make sure everything's right for everybody else, that sometimes we find ourselves like needing to breathe, needing to sit down, needing to relax. So I am really hopeful that clearly science tells us that women and men are different. They are different genetically. And so for whatever reason, women seem to be having their hearts impacted in a different way, their whole circulatory system. Let's get that figured out. I think in many cases, women are just the backbones of their corporations, of their communities, of their families. And that is not to take anything away from men.
Right.
But I think they have to work together, whatever kind of partnership you're in, whatever kind of relationship you're in, you want to make sure that you're able to carry on successfully and healthfully. And this research, it's much needed. And I know I have felt those moments of that heart palpitation. Am I going to get everything done? And I would just suggest to everyone in those moments, remember to take deep breaths, because that's the first thing that'll bring your heart rate down.
So our last question for you, how do you connect with your support network, and what advice would you give to other women to encourage them about connecting with girlfriends as an important part of taking care of themselves?
I think many of us are afraid to ask for help.
Mm,
And I think we have to let go of that because, look, you would totally go out of your way to support a friend or a family member or a child or, a coworker. You would do that. You would do that.
yeah,
So why don't you
absolutely.
let others do that for you? None of us is perfect and none of us can function all alone. I mean, there are times where we're capable of doing that, but in the times where we really need the support from others, we've got to be brave enough to let go of our egos or whatever happens to be and reach out to that support network, whether it's your mom or your dad or your sister or your best friend or a coworker. And just, trust yourself to bring them into your confidence and work together to make things easier for you. I really do think we're afraid to say, I need some help, I need some support. And yet we'd be willing to give it to someone else in a heartbeat. So why don't we let someone else give it to us? Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
I think this is going to sound a little weird to people, but I am a practicing student of Stoicism, which is a really ancient philosophy, which is making a comeback. And I found out about it through what I do is covering sports. And I had this book handed to me from a former general manager of a team, an NFL team. And I started reading this book, and it has really changed my perspective. I think people think to be stoic means to be unemotional, and that's not it at all. It's to understand how to handle your emotions and your feelings and your judgments of things. And it is made me so much stronger in a way that I think all women should look into this, because it takes so much of the emotion and takes it away from the situation so that you can look at it from a really grounded perspective, which brings your heart rate down and makes everything seem less big and consuming as it is. So I would recommend people maybe just jump on a website or grab a book and look into this amazing, ancient, and very simple philosophy about life, which has honestly helped me over the last few years more than I can tell you.
Wow, that's great. I'm definitely going to check it out. I love it.